Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Zakaria bin Qasim Falanda, and I'm here today to speak to Caroline about her journey to Islam. Caroline, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, Caroline, you can tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Caroline Davids. I'm almost 50. You know, women don't normally like to give the age, but I'm almost 50. I'm a mother of 3 daughters and 4 grandchildren. I work at the Ibn Sina Institute of Tip as the provincial manager here in the Western Cape.
Caroline, you have a very interesting journey. You have a journey of faith and a journey of finding something. Do you maybe perhaps want to tell us a little bit about your journey, about where it all started?
My first knowledge about Islam was through my mother. I remember saying the kalima with my mother many years ago and sitting with my mother. My mother was born Islam, then raised by Christian family since the age of 11, and so she became Christian then. Her brothers remained Muslim with the Muslim side of the family when they became orphans. So it's almost orphan separated. The girls go to the mother side who was Christian and the boys went to the dad side that was Islam or Muslim. And then as a young girl, my mother saying the kalima to me and I'm repeating that, and my father saying, you don't teach my children that. So that was my very first introduction through my mother to Islam. And so as a young girl, I think my best friend since 8 years old has been a Muslim girl. Going to cut rampies, with the Mola Jamas and having outings with Mama and that. So that has been the influence of Islam since a little girl. However, because my dad was a staunch Christian, I grew up in a Christian home. And then as a teenager became very active in the church. I had a family, sisters and brothers that's very active. I have 2 sisters who their husbands and them are pastors of churches. And then that was my journey into church, and then a very staunch Christian upbringing, and not just my father used to say we should participate in whether it is in a community as a community activist or gender activist, or when you do something you do it properly. I got married, had children, but there was the yearning, you know, now today I feel complete, but it's like, and I'm not sure how it affects others, but for me it was the yearning for something that I didn't know what it was. And then when I became, 5 years ago, I worked for the Western Cape Network on Violence Against Women. So I worked in the domestic violence sector and I dealt with rape survivors. So there was a lot of always activism and human rights issues I used to fight for and strive for. But there was something missing. And my journey just became, you know, I've always been an activist in many senses. And then I felt like, you know what, if the church was really all I had to be, and I still have this missing link, what is it? And I won't forget, about 4 years ago, and the crucifixion, and remember for me, Christianity centers around the crucifixion of Christ. When Christians pray, it's all about the crucifixion. It's all about Jesus Christ. And about 4 years ago, I sat in church on Good Friday, and I wasn't convinced. And I thought we're watching a movie of Christ, of Jesus Christ being taken to the cross and the whole crucifixion, and this happens on Good Friday in church, and I'm sitting there and something in my spirit was moved, and I looked at it and I thought, you know what, this is all it is, it's a movie. Then at the same time I drove past Darul Naim in Wynberg, had a huge sign on the sign of on the side of their building. There was a sign that we believe in Jesus too. So many billion people, I can't remember what the words was. And that sign bothered me, and I felt like I felt maybe it was a bit the audacity of Muslims. How can they say that? You know, they're making fun of Christians. But it also made me think. And then driving past that sign a few times, I went to look at what it means. I asked Mujib, I said, Mujib, the sign at Darul Naim, you explain it to me. And I Googled, and that's where I saw where Jesus Christ fits into Islam. Then one morning I woke up 4 years ago and I dreamt that I embraced Islam. And I was disturbed. I thought, what happened? That was nowhere to where I was. I wasn't thinking about it. I was looking at what that sign said. I was looking at the crucifixion. However, I still went on and used, I was a leader in the women's group in church. I would preach to other women. Someone said to me, just look at YouTube. And I listened to people about their revert stories. For a long time I've been listening. Then I looked at women that convert to Islam, or women reverts. And I looked at their stories. But it almost became like a cloak and dagger thing. I had a book about Islam, but it was in my drawer. And then it was right at the back in my cupboard next to my bed. And nobody knew that I was actually seeking knowledge about Islam. Because I almost felt like I betrayed Christianity, or I betrayed the family, the people around me. And however, I wanted to know more. This yearning was there to know more. 5 years ago, I joined the Institute of Tib. And when I applied for this position, I went for the interview and I went to an Islamic place, and all the women were dressed in thobes and scarves. And I thought, I'm never going to fit in here. A day later, someone phoned me to tell me I had the job at the Institute. And my immediate response in my head was, I am sure this is God's way of bringing Christianity to that Islamic place. I thought, sure, God is good, maybe they need some Christian people in that space. And needless to say, this was my journey to Islam also. It was Allah Ta'ala's way of showing me Islam. And not the Islam that I saw just by the way and on the road and by friends. It brought another dimension of Islam into my life. The pious Muslim man that Professor Baker is. I work for one of the, I think, most beautiful pious Muslim men in this country. And the family I work for. And they showed me what Islam is about. And then slowly, it dawned on me that, it's not what Christians say, that Islam is bad, and they all like to fight, and this is what the Western influences have. Even here in South Africa, it's far-reaching. Like, people still think, Islam people, we shout Allahu Akbar and everybody goes in for the kill, and it's not like that. It's a peaceful religion. But I think the huge issue was my family. I knew, from 9 siblings, we stayed together all the time, and I haven't seen them since I've embraced Islam. The Sunday before I said my kalima, I made a huge lunch at home and I invited my family. I knew that was going to be almost the final, the last day. And we had a big lunch, and then I announced my intentions, and then everybody said, well, I'm dead to them. And I thought, and now the next chapter of my life starts. I would say, the support is there, the wonderful support I get from Discover Islam. If you Google, if you're looking at this video, obviously you have access to YouTube, so or the website, go and research because I know that to me, I have discovered something that has completed my life, and I really want everyone else that is searching to discover what I have. I know that my life is complete. I've lost a lot of family members, I've lost friends, but what I have gained, not materially, but the peace, the contentment that I have gained, I know, I feel like I'm a new person. I don't feel like I'm Caroline of the 9th of June. On the 10th of June, my life changed, and all for the better. I'm peaceful, I'm content. Khasbunallah. Allah is all I need. And that is how I just want to say to people, the joy, the peace, the contentment that I have, nobody else, no other God can provide this for me but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Shukran so much, Caroline, for sharing your story with us.